Hey guys, welcome back. Better Than a Let's Play episode 44. I'm Enigmius, and today, the Nothing Factory. We almost forgot about it. We almost forgot it was even a thing. We got so caught up trying to get everything set up and working to do things towards production of the Nothing Factory that the Nothing Factory just kind of slipped our mind. So we're going to correct that today, which is not to say we've done anything. We've actually done nothing towards the Nothing Factory except for the infrastructure, but at least we remembered. That's sort of the victory. You can see here, this is our reactor setup. This is nothing new. The second turbine, in fact, is new. Block for block, it's identical to this one, with the only difference, some of the blocks are in different places, specifically the ports for sending and receiving steam. We don't send any water out of these guys, we just destroy the water that's being produced. And power is a little bit different as well. So this one's got power coming out this side of the reactor, and this one's coming out of this side, so we can double up on the cables. You get what I'm saying. They're basically identical. The key issue is, are they working worth a damn? Now, you remember in the last episode we talked about the ideal speeds. Let's get rid of NEI, just so that we're not too cluttered. You can see here, perform best at 900 or 1800 RPM. We're 11 RPM shy of 1800. So I'm happy with that. 13,500 RF per tick. Come over here. Look at this guy. Pretty much the exact same. Actually, it is the exact same. We've got a consistent supply of steam. This is full and just basically being destroyed. All the extra water that's being produced is being destroyed. We've got full energy buffers. I just noticed that. So that's pretty cool. And great. Exactly what we wanted. So we're up to about 27,000 RF per tick being generated by our reactor system altogether. But it was not easy. I should point out, it was a great challenge. This is one of the things where we talk about depth in gameplay, is because the systems are very simple, but getting them to work properly takes some time and some thought. And that's the idea of depth to me. As opposed to other things that get labeled as depth that maybe aren't. You'll notice there was a time with this reactor where it was mostly reactor glass around the outside, and then we had the inputs for the water to send into the reactor just kind of down here, hanging out. Now, you'll look, we've got basically coolant ports all the way around, and even doubling up, sending them over the top, so we can get as many fluiduct lines feeding water as we possibly can. And that got us to the place where our water supply in the reactor is holding steady. We're producing almost 2,300 millibuckets per tick of steam, 2.26 buckets per tick. That's a fairly decent amount of steam output. It's running a little bit hot. As far as I recall, this should be below 2,000 or roughly at 2,000, but that's okay. And now that we've done building the turbines, we're producing cyanite, and it's fantastic, and we don't need it. Just kind of heartbreaking. Most of our time has been spent waiting on this thing to produce cyanite so we could finish the other turbine. It's basically what we've been doing since the last episode, and trying to find ways to keep ourselves occupied in the process. Now, one of the issues that we had once I got the second turbine built and up and running is that we weren't able to produce enough steam, and the reason we weren't able to produce enough steam is we weren't getting enough water into the system, thus all the extra fluiducts and coolant ports. But this whole setup that we did, remember we redid this in the last episode? We have 60 aqueous accumulators in there. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. We have this tank here, you can see in between the fluiducts, it goes all the way up. If this thing is full, or it has water in it and the water level isn't decreasing, that's my indication that we're producing at least enough water to keep the system going based on how many fluiducts we have sending it to the reactor. So we could possibly get more water into the reactor if we were using more fluiducts, but I decided to just kind of relocate, or more specifically build a second place where we can start accumulating water and sending it to the reactor, which is just over here. This is the part that I said to myself, Self, you need to make some more aqueous accumulators. How many should you make? And I said, the way things are going, just make a stack. It'll be so much easier. So that's what I did. We've got 64 aqueous accumulators in here now, and you can see they're nice orderly rows leading to tesseracts, and then the tesseracts are receiving the water up there. The reason why I did it this way, that's a lot of tesseracts, right? Anyone looking at that is going to say, holy crap, dude. And then receiving over there is because if I decide I want to send more water somewhere for any reason, and I need to add more aqueous accumulators to do it, I can just expand the rows out that way and not have to worry about whether or not the tesseract can handle it. I think the tesseracts can handle a little more than I'm producing. And these guys just love to jump around in here, have a jolly good time. So, yeah, a lot of aqueous accumulators, a total of 124 in the entire system, producing water for the reactor. It works though. That's the main thing, is that the reactor is working, the turbines are working, we're producing enough power to keep a mining drill going at full capacity, as well as our AE storage network, or sorry, our ME, our Applied Energistics ME storage network, is powered by these as well, plus all of our other machines, our pulverizers, our furnaces, all that other miscellaneous stuff over there. So we've got enough power to do what we want to do. Now we need to figure out what it is we want to do, and that will be the Nothing Factory, of course, while waiting for all the cyanide ingots that we needed to make the materials for the second turbine. I came over here. Get away, monsters. Look at these guys. And then the little babbies. I was going to make a music video of these guys just standing on the other side of the rail jumping around. I still might do it just for giggles, but look at this. And of course the experience orbs just go flying, and then I have to go gather them even though I have no use for them. Goddamn tragedy. So I came over here and I decided, see, I had forgotten about the Nothing Factory. I honestly did. The one thing that I kind of brought me back on track was realizing that I was almost out of space in here. And then I thought, well, what do I really need more space in here for anyways? And I was like, oh my god, the Nothing Factory. We need to do something about that, because currently, if all we had for space to build the Nothing Factory was this little area in here, that would be pretty lame. Considering one of our turbines would be bigger than the Nothing Factory. Damn it, Babby Zombie. This is why we can't have nice things. We got guys falling off the roof. So if you guys have been following this series since the beginning, or you happen to watch one of the early videos, this area here where this dirt is was actually occupied by one of the massive red power trees, or Project Red, as the case may be. And I was actually looking forward to doing something with it, but I ultimately ended up disabling Project Red, and it left this giant gaping hole in the ground where the root system was, because the blocks that made up the tree were no longer valid. They were set to 0. They disappeared. The tree disappeared. So not only was there this, it was actually kind of neat, but this great big gaping hole here, there was also a phantom shadow generator somehow. Now I've come over here, I was getting ready to record the video, and if I come over here and kind of walk around in this area, then it lights properly. But if I were to just log into the game and come over here, this area would be a big shadow, even though there's nothing above here to cause that shadow to be there. It's just there, and monsters spawn pretty much all the time. Actually, look over here, you can see this section of shadow. You can see when I get close, there's nothing there to create the shadow. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know exactly what's happening, but I do know that we could probably factor it into the Nothing Factory somehow. But what I did was I flattened out this whole area. There was that big hole there. We had some ponds of really nasty liquid, brown liquid. We're not going to speculate on who created that or why. But I flattened it out so that we're basically... We've got a neutral area. We can start building the Nothing Factory as soon as we've got all our ducks in a row. The other thing that I was thinking about is the impact of the whole crops thing on magic. I basically planted a very large crop that you guys have seen in anticipation of doing all these magic things. And then I realized, wow, I've got like so many mandrakes and so many belladonna and all that other stuff. What I really want to be doing is freeing up space for the magical essences, the magic crops, essences, the plants and things. Damn it, I want to get up here. There we go. So you can see we've got a lot of empty plots now, which is absolutely fine. We've got 2 sections for wheat, basically for the seeds, because we can use the seeds to make other kinds of seeds. I heard skeleton footsteps. I'm just making sure we're not in trouble. And then all of these are essence. We've got mostly the regular essence. We've got some coalescence plants down there. Over there you see the red. Those are redstone essence, just like here, and some glowstone essence. And then we'll fill out the whole crop system as we go. Eventually these will all be full with essence plants. And then of course we've got our ender lilies gradually expanding across that top row. Very, very useful because I used a lot of ender pearls making the enderium blocks for the turbines. It was pretty crazy just how many enderium blocks we actually used. And if it weren't for these, I would have spent a lot of time in the end farming endermen, which is not necessarily productive use of time. So we've been really, really busy. Freakishly busy, but there's one other thing that I want to show you guys. And for that, we need to gain some altitude. It's always a question as I get close. Did I get enough altitude? No, I didn't. I was just a little bit shy. The skeletons are going to start shooting at me. I hate it when they do that. So I came up here, and this is, as I've mentioned several times in the past, this is going to be where we start building our magic stuff. I'm just trying to trim down the interlopers here a little bit. Look at all the creepers. One of the things that I wasn't really happy with was the way we had like the 2 circles and then there was a gap in between, because my previous attempts at getting different textures to work together in the same block were not successful. Well, it turns out I was a little bit too hasty in determining that it wasn't going to work, because not only is it possible, it's actually very, very easy to make them work together. You can see we did the edge smoothing, and now we've got, like, for example, this block, you can see is all one. It's got 1/8 is the marble, and then the other 7/8 is the Aldwarite brick, which is pretty cool. No gaps. We got all that stuff taken care of. So now what we've got is, let's say, for example, we've got a block like that, and we want to make it look a little bit more interesting by having another block next to it. Well, you can't do that. And that's what happened, is I saw that and I said, okay, obviously they're not allowed to work together, so I'm not going to waste time dicking around with it. I'm just going to assume that it's not going to work. When all I really needed to do was make sure that I was trying to stack like blocks. So if I try and put this guy on that guy, this is what happened. Is you probably can't hear now, but I'm clicking like a fiend with the white panel on this guy, and it won't work because it's trying to put it here where I've already got one. It won't let me stack it next to this guy because you can't stack it if it would be in the middle. All you can do is stack it on this guy like that, and then if you want another one, you can do like that. If you were smart, you wouldn't use 3 panels. You'd use a cover and a panel, and that would basically do the same thing, but with less for the game to think about. That's all it was make sure that you're stacking on a light panel. And if you can't, like, that was a little bit difficult to do up here with the lines and with the circles, is just give it something to stack against, like something you can stack it on top of or beside or whatever, so that each piece goes in a place that would naturally be allowed to have a piece, like that, or like that. You see where it would be adjacent to another block, not another microblock, but another block. And then you can stack the same kind of texture onto this guy, and then if you want to put one on the other side, you don't put it here, you put it where it would be adjacent to another block somehow. And as long as you've got something to stick it to, like this block underneath, it works just fine. So that was the whole thing that was keeping me from having this thing all nice and together, to the extent that I was actually thinking seriously about covering it in glass, this whole thing in a glass floor, so that I didn't have to worry about falling through one of the cracks in the floor when I was working or doing whatever. Now I don't have to, because it all goes together. So that was very cool. I was actually going to do a bite-sized build on that. I might still do just a little quick one. I don't know. It's almost like a nibble-sized build as far as that goes. So that's what I've been up to. So what I need to do is that you can see I've actually started the edge smoothing on this second triangle. This is a pretty good example of the huge difference that it makes. That's smoothed, and this is not. But I have to do it all the way over there, and then that far line. Once that's done, I've got some other details. I'm losing my voice. Once that's done, I've got some other details that I want to add, just for a little bit of interest and detail and magical looking stuff. And then we can start figuring out where we want to place our magic bits and get down to the business of producing the magic things that will be incorporated in some way into the Nothing Factory. And that's what this is all about. So we'll have the tech and the magic coming together in the Nothing Factory. It should be pretty interesting. So if you want to be notified when I add the next video in this series, follow our progress, you can always subscribe to my channel. That's a good way to do it. Another way is follow me on the social media, Google Plus and Twitter. Links for those are in the information section. Please do leave your comments and feedback. They're kind of cool. People saying things and asking things, and it's fantastic. I always read the comments that are posted to my channel. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.